This episode is brought to you by Office Images. When was the last time you walked into an office and thought, wow, this space actually makes me want to work here? A thoughtfully designed workplace isn't just about aesthetics. It helps with attracting and retaining top talent. Office Images works with companies to create functional, inspiring environments that make the return to the office feel less like a chore and more like an upgrade. From start to finish, whether you're designing a brand new space or giving your current one a much needed refresh, they'll bring the workplace of the future to life. All right, we're back, man. Pretty exciting. Yeah, we've had some great conversations so far on Speakeasy Jacks, and I'm super excited about the one today.
Me too. I was thinking about the fact that we take for granted that we know what this is all about, and there's probably some people that are coming in. This is their first episode watching. You want to talk a little bit about the vision behind this and kind of what we're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like in my job and your job, we're always super on script. Right. And I think it's important for us to not be on script every once in a while and be unfiltered. Right. And bring some folks in that we get to deal with on a regular basis just because of our jobs. And people will read their names in the paper or see them on the news, but they don't really know who that person is. And so I really feel like it was important for us to talk to our friends about who they really are and why they care about this community so much. So really, Speakeasy Jacks is kind of a vision that we've had for a while, and now we're doing it. So
and it doesn't hurt that we get to do it in a beautiful venue like Manifest Distilling, and while we're doing it, we get to drink some bourbon and just have some cool conversations.
Excited about it, and a big thanks to all of our friends at the Chamber and Manifest for letting us use the facility. And I think it's a great backdrop. It kind of sends the message that we're trying to put out there.
Fits really well. Yeah. So what have you been up to recently that you would like to share with our viewers? Some stuff that you've been working on that is important to you. I know you have a opportunity that you've been kind of investing in a little bit.
I have. And our job is to bring more jobs to town. We'll talk a little bit about that today. Super busy schedule. Our guest today has a crazy busy schedule. Yep. Mine has been pretty nuts. And last night we had a big prospect in town looking to bring hundreds of jobs to this community. International company. And it's crazy because when you bring people to Florida, they literally think they're going to see alligators walking across the street when they land at the airport. Like that's what they think about. Hurricanes are going to hit and alligators are coming. So one of the folks that we were talking to last night from Italy, and he kept saying he wanted to see an alligator. So today we called our friends at the Jacksonville Zoo and got that gentleman a behind-the-scenes tour so he could go see some alligators. I asked if there was a baby alligator that he could hold and take a picture, but I don't know for sure if they were able to pull that off. But
so have you talked to him since he's been able to?
It's been crazy. I haven't had a chance, but they've been around Jacksonville today looking at different sites. So
I can only imagine how excited he was to be able to go behind the scenes at the zoo and see real alligators.
Guarantee he's going back to Italy and telling all of his friends about his experience in Jacksonville. But because of that, I didn't get home till late. I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but I totally bailed on the workout this morning.
What?
And it was a rest day for.
So you're telling me you're non-committed to this whole health and wellness thing?
I'm a big loser. I'll make up for it.
How was your sleep score? Because I know your big thing is like Whoop.
Yep.
For those that aren't familiar, it's a thing. Do you have it on right now? Yeah. So you're tracking your sleep. You're tracking your workouts.
2 hours and 23 minutes in deep sleep last night, so I did pretty good. Okay. But I got a full night, 85% recovery. So
I think I probably got a total of 2.5 hours of sleep, but that's why I'm so hesitant to get one. I don't want to fall behind.
We're getting old, man. Sleeping is the best thing you can possibly do for
recovery.
Healthy. Yeah,
and it's important. We talk a lot about fitness and wellness because it's something we're passionate about, but even for those who don't have like a regular fitness routine, it's so important for people to be active in some way.
Yeah.
I was thinking about your dad the other day and how far he's come, from when he wasn't doing too well, not able to get around. And because he's been working with some people, doing some active things, throughout his day, now he can go way further than he could before.
He tells me every day about his PT schedule. Right. And now he's walking with a walker, and he really making big improvements. So you can always start somewhere. And I'm excited about, him improving so much.
Yeah.
But speaking about the cool things in Jacksonville, we have a great family in Jacksonville, and I've invited Tabitha Furyk to come in and speak to us today. I think you're going to really enjoy getting a chance to know her. I've been building a friendship with her over the last several years, and to see what she's done in this community is pretty incredible. Tabitha is the president of the Jim and Tabitha Furyk Foundation, which has been very impactful in this community. But she's also the executive director of the Furyk and Friends Golf Tournament. And when I tell you she gets stuff done, she gets stuff done.
I've heard.
Yeah.
That.
So
And
I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. I think people of Jacksonville are going to enjoy getting to know her a little bit better. So without further ado, why don't we invite her in and
have her come
enjoy
on.
A conversation with Tabitha Furyk.
Hello.
So good to see you.
How are you?
Good. So great
What
to
a
see you.
fantastic
TJ
concept
Ward.
to be here at Manifest and have a little cocktail.
I know. And we found out that this is not a gentleman's rock.
no,
No,
it's a
no,
Queen's Rock.
I made a quick change while
Yes,
you guys were chatting
yes,
it up.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have
Yeah.
a Queen's Rock instead of a gentleman's cube.
I am enjoying my Queen's Rock today.
Yeah,
Let's
so
let's do a little
cheers,
cheer
guys.
toast. Cheers to you.
Yes.
Cheers.
What a
And-
good
There we
All
go.
right.
stretch. Good thing you got that workout
Yeah.
in, right?
That
we can.
Pilates,
Well,
that
I
yoga.
skipped mine. So before we get into your story, we this is something stupid we talk about every day. What was your workout?
Okay.
Well, and what do you do, Tab, to stay on top of it?
So pretty interesting. I have been with Jim since 1995. We've been traveling on the tour and that. And so going to a regular class, being part of a tennis team, just wasn't really an option, right? Because you're in a different city, you're doing different things. So yoga and Pilates have been my best friends. I used to be running. I used to run a lot. I did the Gate River Run
Nice.
once. Now I'm getting older. My knees and everything don't really
Yeah.
want to do that. So this morning for me, yoga, and then we have 2 dogs that we rescued from the Humane Society here in town, and Long Beach walk for both of them. So that about sums it up for today.
It's interesting, Tabitha, that you worked out this morning and I worked out this morning. I did shoulders, lifted a little bit of weights, no cardio, trying to avoid the running like you mentioned,
Right,
just because
right.
of old joints.
Yeah,
But
right.
that's really just my excuse. But there's one of us here that just didn't get his
He's
workout
gonna
in.
have to double up tomorrow,
Slacker,
maybe.
slacking it up. No, I did make. You do have to have a rest day.
You do.
And this
It's
is like
important.
14 days straight with no rest. And I thought today was probably
You could
the right
afford
day.
to take a
Right
day off.
to
We
do it,
won't
but-
hold it
And
against
Jim
you.
has a trainer, and he went this morning bright and early. So
see,
technically
yeah.
he worked out for you too.
Yeah,
so.
thank you.
And Tabitha,
Covered.
for those who are watching that maybe don't know Jim,
Sure.
the very few that don't, can you just tell everybody when we say Jim who we're talking about, other than your husband? And,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. You know, a lot of times you'll see folks and they're like, "Are you married to Jim Furyk?" And Jim was always like, "No, I'm married to her.
Right,
we got to
right.
flip this around
Yeah.
right quick." But Jim, for those of you that don't know, PGA Tour player, 17 wins on the regular tour, a number of wins on the Champions Tour. Yes, we're old and on the Champions Tour now. Ryder Cup, President's Cups, you name it. So, like I said, since '95, we've been traveling the tour and
Wow.
Incredible career.
living the life on the road. But it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Really enjoy it.
That's awesome. It's awesome. Speaking of the Pilates thing, you're a guy thinking lifting weights is probably the best possible thing you could do. And Rebecca got into the Pilates movement, and I would watch her do her 10-minute abs,
Yeah.
and I'd kind of make fun of it. And so she goes, "Well, Daniel, why don't you just come over here? Just try it. 5 minutes of the 10-minute abs." I'm telling you, 2 minutes in, I was
You couldn't do
toast.
it.
I was in a fetal position. She's laughing. And so huge respect for the yoga and the Pilates. I definitely cannot do it.
Hey, everybody has to find their thing, right?
Yeah.
No matter what you do, find something that you enjoy. For me, it needed to be something I could take on the road with me, and it's served me well and super peaceful. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that. So
Yeah, I think I'm really interested in hearing about the foundation and your
Sure.
work that you're doing in the community. I hear so many great things about what you've been able to accomplish with your team through the foundation. So what are you doing? And then why are you so passionate about giving back to the Jacksonville
yeah,
community?
so we started our foundation back in 2010. I went to Ohio State, big Buckeye fan.
National champs.
Yes, national champs. Very exciting.
They were dominant. They really were.
I will have to say, I went to the Michigan game. Jim and I went with some friends. We thought that was going to be kind of easy.
Yeah.
That was very disappointing. So the jump from going from the Michigan game to the national championship was so tremendous and really impressive to see from the team. So
in hindsight,
really
probably the best thing that could have happened. Like if you think of, if I listen to the analysts talk, they're like, if that didn't happen, they may not have peaked the way that they did at the time that they did. But nobody at the end of the season, nobody could hang with them. It was very impressive.
Yeah,
I was born in South Bend, Indiana. Not too many people know that, and I grew up in Jacksonville, but was a Notre Dame fan for a long time. And I kind of wanted to see. I love that coach at Notre Dame. He is awesome.
He's very impressive.
But there was not really even a chance. It was very dominant, and I loved seeing it. So
sitting from where I'm waiting any moment for the Buckeyes to maybe make a mistake and to him to jump right in. He was a tremendous coach. It was really impressive.
Now, where were you on the Ryan Day thing? Like when they lost to Michigan, were you like, hey, we got to get rid of him, or let's see what happens? Because they were saying national championship or he loses his job. And to his credit, he came through and made it happen. But just wondering from your perspective what that felt like.
Yeah, I think as a fan, especially going to the game and watching that take place was really hard. And I do feel like that was sort of the wave that everybody was riding, that, if he doesn't, I mean, this has been a couple of years now in a row not beating Michigan. We kind of got used to beating Michigan, right? So I think that was kind of where everybody was trending to. But when you watch those last final games, and especially the national championship, and you saw the team and the love that they had for him and what they put into it to get him there, it's hard to not see him in the driver's seat going forward.
Right. Yeah, especially when you win a national championship. Like you can't fire somebody after they do that.
Right.
But.
We totally got off. You asked about the foundation.
I know. I'm sorry. Wait, I'm sorry.
I love it. I want the conversation should go wherever it goes, but we got to get back to the foundation.
I'm a huge football fan.
So I went to Ohio State, graduated with the elementary education degree, certified kindergarten through 8th grade, passion for kids. Did a lot of student teaching. Ohio State has it's a 5-year program where you do tons of student teaching. So I was out in the community, and that's really what I wanted to do. Just so happened to meet my husband. We won't go down that road till I finish this story. But met my husband at the memorial, and we started traveling. And that was just a piece of me that I really felt like I missed out on having, like to give back to kids. And so when we finally started our foundation in 2010, I really wanted to focus on children and families in need. And so we started feeding kids at Title I schools through Blessings in a Backpack, working with Wolf Sins, working with Community Pete's Care, the Halloween Doors and More event that they do, trying to make a magical setting for these children. So I really wanted to do something that was based on the kids here in this community. We had 2 very healthy children of our own. We were very blessed, and we know what those families go through and what a struggle it is. And so we wanted to create something to give back to them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it keeps going from here. Like I said, we started in 2000. Here we are today. Yesterday, I was at the groundbreaking for the new Pete's Care facility. So they're building a building for these children with life-threatening and complex diseases where they can come with their children. They can hang out with other moms. The kids that are suffering can go through all their treatments there. They can see the child life specialist, so the child life specialist isn't driving all around town. There's so many amazing things that are going on with this center, and it has been a dream for 20, 30 years for them to put this together. So we did the groundbreaking yesterday, which was amazing, seeing some of those families. There's so many things that can be done to continue to serve that community. It's just great to be a part of it.
Yeah. And you think about, I have 4 kids, and I know TJ was going to tell you a little bit about his daughters, and by and large, all healthy.
Yeah.
And if I think we take for granted too in Jacksonville, the amount of health opportunities with all of the fantastic systems that we have in this community, Mayo, MD, UF Health, St. Vincent's Ascension. We have so much. My daughter is currently in Tanzania in language school, and she got sick the other day, and we freaked out a little bit because she's in Africa, and we don't know the quality of healthcare over there. And you think about even in the United States, there are locations where, children do not have the best health options out there. And parents in many of those situations don't know what options are out there, what's available.
Right.
And so what you're doing is incredibly important. And I want to talk a little bit more about that.
But to your point, we are incredibly blessed. Both of my children born at Baptist downtown here, but we have also been to Wolfson's. We've also spent many visits to Nemours for broken collarbones and knee surgeries, you name it. They're both athletes. They're very active, and having those resources right here. Even my husband, he's going to Mayo right now. Just went last week, got some X-rays, some MRIs, different things done to try to get him back in a good position. So we're so blessed to be able to have those resources right here in Jacksonville.
Totally agree. Yeah. So when you talk about starting the foundation, you have to have something that funds the foundation, or it's just a piece of paper. And can you tell us a little bit about what your vision was on how you would make such an impact on the community?
Yeah, so I think what really kicked us off with starting the foundation was Jim had a tremendous 2010 on the PGA Tour. He won 3 events. He won the FedEx Cup, right? He won Player of the Year. There was so much attention on him. He was number 2 in the world, on him and his level of play. And we just decided, this is the time. This is the time to use that platform to do something good. And so we started our foundation knowing that there would be a little bit of attention on him anyways. And we wanted to share with people here in Jacksonville, which is also so philanthropic, right? That's one of the things I love so much about Jacksonville is the people here, they don't know an end of giving, right? And I'm so proud of that. Proud to be from here, proud to watch that happen. But what we really thought is if we can bring attention to these charities that are out there, that are serving our community, that can help other people, just the awareness piece, let alone the charity dollars, are going to make a tremendous difference. So we started a 2-day event. We really wanted to use what we knew, right? Take golf. We have a love of music. We have a lot of friends in the music industry. So we brought a 1-day little concert, 1-day golf tournament, and kind of traveled around Jacksonville to different locations to have this and raised, I think our first year we raised $500,000. And we were able to bring awareness to a bunch of charities here in town and raise charity dollars to help them run the program.
Raised $500,000. That's insane. And I've played in the tournament a couple of times. Rebecca and I have volunteered. And when I say volunteer, it was not that tough of a job. Tabitha took care of me. She sat me by one of the par 3s.
Put you in the best possible.
In the shade.
In the shade.
I usually had a cigar going, hanging out with Rebecca, making sure whoever hit a hole in one, I was the witness. Yeah. And so all my friends would come by and they go, okay, Davis. Yeah. I said, no, I'm not messing with Tabitha Furyk, man. You did not.
This is the job she gave me.
You did not get a hole in one. So, but it is an incredible experience. So, and part of it is the music. Yes. What are some of the cool music guests that you've had, concerts?
We've had a lot of folks have been friends, right? We ran into, right when we started our foundation, ran into Darius Rucker. He was playing down in St. Augustine, and we told him what we were doing. We were like, we're going to put on a golf tournament. We've played in 100. We've never been hosts of one. And he was like, well, great, I'll do a concert then. So we did it at the Mavericks right here downtown. And
so old stomping grounds for a lot of our viewers.
Fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So we did that there. But we've had Charles Kelly, we've had Jake Owen, we've had Dustin Lynch. We've had so many folks who are just genuine people that want to help us out. And it's great to be able to share their talent with the city of Jacksonville and bring them here as well.
Tabitha, I love the focus on bringing awareness to some of these organizations, because there are so many, to your point, people and organizations that are giving here in Jacksonville, but people aren't aware of them. Yeah. So you using your platform and leveraging that success to really point a spotlight on them, I know has helped them be able to achieve even more and do more great things. Yeah. How do you determine who you're going to really work with when it comes to some of these charitable organizations? So we are very project specific, right? So what we don't want to do is we don't want to find an organization that says, hey, can you give us $10,000? Well, that's great, but $10,000 can help you, but how is that going to help you? So tell me what you want to do. What do you want to accomplish with that? And let's see if we can find a better way to do it, right? We may have a relationship where, let's say they need
20 new iPads for their kids. Mount Washington, for example, they had struggled. Somebody had broken in, stolen all their laptop computers. So we went out and through relationships that we had, were able to donate those so that no one had to spend the money. So it's using, that platform, like I mentioned, to try to bring resources to organizations. How do we pick them? What I want is, one, you have to be project specific. We have to come up with something that's really going to make a difference for your organization and the people that you are serving. One, that's very important. But we also use the people that participate in our tournament, right? So if you guys are supporting us through a tournament, you may know of a charitable group that I'm not aware of, right? There are so many here in Jacksonville. And we try to keep all of our funding right here on the First Coast. So if you know of a group, I want you to share that with me so I can go meet with them, find out what they're doing, find out what their needs are, and so we can add them to what we're doing. I think last year alone, we had 52 different organizations and had well over $1 million go out just for that 1 year. So
that's incredible.
There's a ton of need. I will also say we were a little unique in that a lot of big companies will say, look, we have this great pool of charity money, but if we spread it so thin, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. So we're just going to pick one and make a big difference, which I think is fantastic. Any work you do is fantastic. But what happens to all those other groups that fall through the cracks, right? What happens to a community peace care or a smaller group, Daniel's Closet, all these groups that aren't getting those funds because somebody else picked one big group that they want to support and they get left behind. And we have a lot of big companies here in Jacksonville, but not enough to take care of every charity. So we try to make sure that we do something for everyone that asks.
I love the project specific approach. I think that's innovative and definitely can help bridge for a lot of small nonprofits, bridge a gap until they can get the funding that maybe they've applied for through a grant, but you're coming in and making a difference right away. And it's something that they desperately need. And so
do they come, is there like an application process every year that they come to you, or do you kind of just let it all?
Well, it's interesting. We don't do an application because I filled out a bunch myself for grants for the foundation. And I feel like they don't always fit, right? And you don't always get the answers in the story that you want to hear. So for the most part, it comes either through somebody sharing that the organization and us reaching out to them, or an organization will just pick up the phone, call us, email us. We have an info at, and folks reach out. They tell us their story. Hey, is there any chance we have this family that needs a brand new wheelchair for their son? He's 7. When he was 3, it was perfect, but now they have to carry him. Habitat for Humanity. We built a house and they had a mom with 2 children. One had cerebral palsy. She was a single mom working, and the child had gotten to a point where she couldn't pick her up and carry her from the car into the house, into the bathtub, into her bed. And so we put a track system in for her. So we helped fund the house, add the track system. So it's just things like that that make a world of difference for these families.
It's changing lives. So the foundation, you guys are rocking it. So much success. Everybody I know in the business community loves to be a part of it and to participate. But the executive director role of the tournament, talk a little bit about that, because I know that's 2 different things, and the tournament is a big deal to pull off. So what's that like?
The tournament is, a lot of folks think like, oh, well, you have the pro-am part of the tournament. No, we have the whole tournament, right, that we brought to Jacksonville. So in doing that, right, we went to the PGA Tour, said this was important to us, this is something we want to do. It's a big deal. I mean, our tournament alone brings $8 to $9 million in economic impact to the city of Jacksonville. And so we're bringing in 85 players, right? And we want to put Jacksonville to the forefront. We want it to look good. We want them to be spoiled, right? They're our friends that we're in, travel with week in, week out. We want it to be amazing for them. So there's a lot that goes into it, right? So we're looking at the build, the tent companies, the catering companies, the structural, everything that goes. We have to get building permits. We have to, all of that, the parking, the police, the fire department, all of that has to come out and approve what we're doing. So there's a lot of pieces that go to it. We have a great relationship with NBC Golf Channel. So being able to air that, cut the footage so that we can show what we want to in Jacksonville, make sure we're getting the city highlighted.
That's
a lot of moving parts. And then the money all going back to charity. So a lot of pieces, a concert.
We pull off a small event, and I know what goes into that at the chamber. And for you to pull off, is it 4 days? 5 days?
It's actually a full week. We actually start Sunday before the tournament with Operation Shower, and we go a Monday.
What's Operation Shower?
Operation Shower is we host a baby shower for 40 moms who are either active military or their husbands are deployed. And basically, it's a great way to get these moms together because a lot of times they don't know each other. Wow. They don't have someone to lean on. And so this gives them a great resource, but it also showers them with car seats, strollers, baby bottles, clothing, shoes, you name it. So a lot of times they'll fill their car, they'll leave and either come back or we'll deliver even to their homes. But it's a great way to have them start a new family safely with everything that they need.
So
and to thank our military, right? This is a huge military town. So we do it twice a year. We do it at the Players and we do it at our tournament.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
So you're passionate about helping other families, obviously. We've talked about all the wonderful things you're doing. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your family and maybe some of the things that your kids are into? How old are they?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know when it happened, but they got grown up. So our daughter is she's in Nashville now. She is worked for the Button Group now, but she graduated from Belmont. She was a pole vaulter there. Went to Bowls here. Loved her time at Bowls. She's loving Nashville. I'm missing her a little bit, but it's a great place to visit.
Yeah.
Our son is a junior in college at University of the South, so S1E1, and he's a lacrosse player. Also went to Bowls, played lacrosse there. And living his best life up on the mountain.
That is awesome.
But they're both great. When we started, we have an event called Hope for the Holidays that we started years ago, where we invite the community to come out and pack holiday bags. There's probably 15 items, shelf-stable food that we give out to Title I schools and a number of different charities. So we're up to 6,000 full holiday meal bags that we give out. And our kids were there. That's why we started it. We asked them, what do you want to do? And that was important to them because when you're at school and they say, can you do something for the holidays? We would hand them $5. They would take the $5, they would hand it to their teacher, and that was it. But they wanted something hands-on where they felt like they were giving back. And so we created this and invited all their friends, and now we have thousands of people that come and volunteer and help us do these bags. But kids are great.
So much more rewarding having them be a part of the actual process than to just take the money and give it towards something. Right. And you
guys have kids.
I know.
You know how special that,
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
We grew up together and really, we didn't really have much. We always had food on the table, but that was kind of our level. And, my kids and TJ's kids have enjoyed more than we did. And what we really want is to see them have that same fire to give back that we do. Important. And I think the action of getting out there and doing it is so much better. And they appreciate what they have a lot more when they see.
Absolutely. And both of my girls love little ones. So my oldest actually works at a preschool and has a class of little ones that she's mentoring and working with every single day. Just got engaged a few weeks back. So she's getting married here in the next year. And so we're excited about that.
She's going to get married here in Jacksonville?
She's getting married in North Carolina. Okay. It's where she grew up a lot of her life, the middle school and high school years. And so she got engaged on top of a mountain in North Carolina, and they want to get married out there. So her fiance is somebody that I approve of. I get asked that question every time I tell people. Really yeah, so only guy that I've ever liked that she's dated. So I can honestly say that. And then my youngest is actually at the University of Georgia and getting her master's degree, but she works with young people, little ones in church and volunteers, on the weekends with that. So I think just having a heart for kids, there's so many different opportunities that people can, invest in to be a mentor or to really help meet needs that, underprivileged kids have, whether it's this community or any other community. Sure. So I love, and I have a soft spot for kids that, especially ones that struggle. And so it's cool to see them, passionate about that work as well. Yeah. So.
I think it's a little bit like we were talking about your exercise routine, right? Once you start giving back and you make it part of your everyday, what are you thinking? Like, oh, maybe I could do something here to help somebody. I think it's kind of ingrained in you, right? Yeah. And it's really important to do.
It is who I am. That's my passion. Sure. This episode is brought to you by Liberty Landscape Supply. These guys are the go-to experts in Northeast Florida for everything from plants, trees, mulch, aggregate, pavers, you name it. They don't just sell stuff. They actually help you figure out what you need, whether you're going full on do it yourself or you want someone else to do the installation. Liberty's got you covered. Hit up Liberty Landscape Supply at libertylandscapesupply.com or swing by one of their locations in Jacksonville, St. Augustine, or Fernandina. So let's back up just a little bit. Sure. And we've heard so many great things about what's happening in Jacksonville, but tell us a little bit about you when you were growing up. What was it like in your home, and what got you to where you were at Ohio State?
Yeah.
So
born in Torrance, California. My parents were, they moved out there from Ohio, and apparently I was a handful. After a few years, they decided to move back to Ohio to get some help from the grandparents. Apparently I cried the whole way back from LA. So
were you an only child? Or
no. So my brother actually lives here in Jacksonville too, Citrus Distillers. So yes, another distillery here in town. But he is 5 years younger than me.
Okay.
But grew up in Columbus, Ohio, product of public schools, which proud of. Had a great experience and met a lot of great people, and decided Ohio State was the right fit for me. Basically, if I was going to go anywhere else, my parents said I had to pay for it. It was a little easier to get into Ohio State then than it was now. But didn't come from a lot. I played volleyball in high school. I was captain of the drill team.
All right.
Yeah, and played in the orchestra, French horn, and that kind of sums up.
What position in volleyball?
But I was more kind of libero. We didn't even call it libero then, but yes, more
I
of a
have
libero
no idea
type position.
What libero.
So the reason
it's more of a digger, more of a
defensive specialist type.
Exactly.
My youngest played college volleyball, high school and college, and so. I was that guy, dad that was traveling around every weekend on the tournament, going to the
so
tournaments.
So my daughter, before playing or before doing pole vaulting, she was volleyball player.
Yep, club
is your
volleyball.
Daughter tall? Yeah, club volleyball.
She's 5'8".
Yeah, see, I was 5'4". I had no other choice.
But she played with people way taller than her, so she was on the back row a lot of her career. But she can also jump, so she ended up at the net, and it was just fun watching. And I had no clue about volleyball until she started playing it. She always played soccer growing up, and then she switched. And so you become kind of passionate about what your kids are passionate about, but just interesting to hear that you played.
I think volleyball is great because, does she play now? It's such an easy thing, beach volleyball, and that you could still pick it up after work.
She wants to, but right now it's, school full time and work and grad school, all that stuff. But she does miss it. We talk about it all the time, and so I'm sure that'll be something she gravitates back towards. Yeah,
not as easy as golf for everybody to play, but volleyball I feel like is one of those things.
Golf is I play it, but I'm not. It's not easy.
Not everybody's good at it.
So, big Buckeye.
Yeah.
And I have worked with several Buckeyes, and it's a pretty rabid fan base. Pretty excited about their team.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm passionate about it. I don't get upset when we lose. I just love the atmosphere. I'm still a season ticket holder, so we get back for a couple of games. It's just a lot of fun. I love the environment. I love supporting
pageantry of it all.
Yeah, I do.
It's fun stuff.
It's historic.
I like to win, but it's okay if we don't.
It's a historic really school with a historic team. It's super, super cool.
Yep.
So it graduated. What was your degree?
Elementary education was my degree. But I had just finished. I was working at Muirfield Village Realty. I did their marketing while I was in college, and during the Memorial Tournament, happened to see my husband now, Jim, playing with some kids on the driving range, tousling their hair, signing autographs, throwing them a ball, and was very impressed by the way he was handling the kids. I was like, what a cool guy. Hours later, he was being interviewed with, I think, Fuzzy Zeller and somebody else by my boss, who was the Mr. Golf. He was also doubled as a radio personality. And so apparently during the interview, Jim was staring at me. So my boss said, after the interview, he was like, after this interview, he was like, would you like me to introduce you to what? And he was like, that would be great. So so he came over, asked me to dinner, and we went to dinner that night. I think it was Tuesday. We spent the rest of the week together, and he handed me a plane ticket on Sunday and said, would you come to Pennsylvania next week and see me. And
The
so I
rest
did.
is-
So I
is
did.
history,
And the rest
right?
is kind of history. Yeah, I
That's
continued
what's up.
working for a little bit, and then we started traveling and literally traveling the world. And yeah, and it's been a lot of fun.
That is, he is such a
Hard to
great guy
believe.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen him around town, and I don't. When you get to see Jim, he's just like one of the guys, you know.
Right.
And when my friends will come in from out of town and see him either playing or hanging out at the club or whatever, they're like, "Hold on a second, that's Jim Furyk." I go, "Yeah, I mean, come on."
Yeah.
It's normal to you to see him, but
And-
for him,
But
for
it's
them,
a
like,
big deal. And did you know that he was heading in that direction, or was it just?
No, Jim had not won a tournament when we met. So it was a little crazy that we started traveling and went to Hawaii and ended up winning that week, went to Vegas, ended up winning, so it just kind of took off from there.
You're the good luck charm.
Yeah, I was about to
That's
say.
what it was.
Yeah, his college coach, I think he made some comment about, it's interesting. It took a little while to get used to the equipment, but it looks like you're doing pretty good now with the new addition in your life. So it's not this crazy glamorous life, but I'm not going to complain either. You go to amazing places, but raising two kids while you're trying to find laundromats and lugging car
Did they
seats
travel
and
with
you
you?
name.
Did
He
the kids
did.
travel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bowles was amazing at that they felt like the travel experiences that we could offer our children sometimes could offer more than you can in the classroom. So as
Yeah.
long as they were able to keep up when we, pulled them out a day or two here and there. Yeah.
So did they send was it like almost a homeschool situation when you had them, or did they?
We tried to keep them in school as much as possible, right? There's nothing like socialization and having kids in the classroom. Just a strong believer of that. Not that there's anything wrong with
I
homeschooling,
totally
but
get
the
it.
experience
Yeah.
that you get is just unlike any other. So we wanted them to have that. But there's, certain tournaments, we were that Thursday, Friday family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would come back, get the kids, bring them back out on the road with us. Or when they were littles, my parents would help travel
Mm-hmm.
with us and you try to do the best you can.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to travel around the country and figure it all out,
Yeah.
and rent cars and
But what an
hope that
experience for them.
everything's there. Oh, yeah.
Just being able to go all those different places
Absolutely.
and meet different people and see how people interact with one
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
Something that they would have never gotten
Yeah.
otherwise.
They're both very well traveled. Tanner just did a study abroad and went to Singapore, Berlin, and Prague. And
that's
then
cool.
on his weekends went traveling other places. He did a kind of a give back with lacrosse and played lacrosse with the kids in Singapore
Nice.
with some businessmen there that had created this foundation. And so again, chance to give back,
Yeah.
chance to travel, and he did well.
That
That's a
is-
long
yeah.
ways from home.
Yeah.
But
Now,
enjoyed
do
it.
either of the kids play golf, or they?
They both do. They both
yeah.
do. How about your kids? I know you guys both play a little bit,
I,
but do your kids play golf?
I begged my sons to join me on the golf course because I feel like it's one of those things that you can have together for a long
Sure.
time. And they go, "No, Dad, we want to go work out." That was their thing. Yeah.
My girls are gym girlies. They
Yeah.
love the fitness thing, and
Yeah.
since college, the youngest I mentioned hasn't really done much, and my
Right.
oldest played soccer for a while, but then decided she'd rather work out than do
Sure.
that. So they're
Yeah.
both very active when it comes to that, but
Right.
just
Yeah.
never
they're
picked
always
up a golf
active,
course.
and,
golf
just,
club.
I think they would get frustrated. They didn't want to spend time taking. I promise
It's a
you,
long time.
Yeah,
That's why
it's an
I don't play,
investment.
but my kids both play, which I'm glad
I'll
they
pay
do.
for the lessons to
Right.
go get the right. Because I nobody taught me. I just
Right.
kind of learn the game. I will pay for you to learn the right way. Nah, we don't want to do it. And I think it was just frustrating
Sure.
that they weren't excellent at it when they first started.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, here's the deal.
yeah.
You can pay for my lessons, and I'll get better.
And we can do it the rest of
Yeah.
it.
Then I won't embarrass you when we're at tournaments or when we're on the golf course.
That's pretty awesome. Is there a tournament that you remember forever, like that pops out in your head, or
Well,
there's so
I
many?
think I would have to say Jim proposed at Pebble. It was
Oh, wow.
actually was the U.S. Open, and he was so nervous that he kept trying, and then it didn't work out. And then he tried at the Masters. He tried it, he just kept getting nervous. And so finally at the U.S. Open, because our plan was to get married at the end of the year, and I was like, I guess we're not getting married at the end of the year. Nothing's happened. And so U.S. Open, we went to dinner, went for a walk down in Carmel, and there's a long tree that is kind of laying there that he got down on one knee and proposed. So
Wow.
I would say that one kind of stands out a little
Yeah,
bit.
it has to.
Yeah.
Pebble Beach is breathtaking.
It is.
I've
I
been
think
a
the
few-
tour, yeah.
It's amazing. Have you been to
No.
Pebble Beach?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I was on a trip, summer vacation
You
with the
should go.
girls, and we stopped. Had no business going in, but we were wearing I was wearing board shorts and a t-shirt. We had been to the beach, and
Sure.
we just walked into the club just
Yep.
to see the view. And
Yeah. It's a
exited-
magical place. It really is. Yeah.
Exited pretty quickly because it was apparent that we didn't.
they were
belong there
chasing
in
you out.
in our t-shirts and bathing
But that
suits.
is super cool that he couldn't get the nerve up at the Masters.
No. He tried a few different times and ended up.
That is pretty funny.
But
That's
it was
awesome.
great. It was great. It's a good memory for sure.
Yeah, you guys are definitely. You can just see it when you're together. You're definitely
Thank you.
so good together.
Thank you.
But what brought you to Jacksonville? What was the process?
Okay,
of
so that would be on Jim, to be
Okay.
honest. So when I met Jim, he had already purchased a condo in TPC Sawgrass.
Yeah.
So Oak Bridge, I think it's called. So he was in the process of having that built. He had looked everywhere, but he had come here for when you're a rookie, you have to come here and do all your training, your media training. So he came here and he was like, hold on a minute, like no state tax. And he started looking at the price. I think Mark Carnival, who's since passed, had a condo,
Yeah.
which ended up being like 2 doors down from us. And he was like, dude, you got to come see this place. Like, it's great. And Jim was like, you can build that here for that price? Like, I can't. Pennsylvania, Arizona, everywhere he went, he was like, I don't know where I want to live, but this is, pretty expensive and not close to home. And so ended up buying this condo to be built. And so when we met, he said, let's go check out the progress of the condo, right? So we thought it was going to be done. We show up and the builder had misinterpreted the number of Sherwin-Williams. And we walk in and the entire condo is painted like light pink. The whole thing. The closet's like Pepto-Bismol pink. The entire thing.
Not like pale pink.
Not a
but
pale
like,
pink.
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't call and say, are you sure you want your entire house pink? But no, they built the whole thing, painted so we got a place over at Sawgrass Beach Club and they repainted. And a few months later we moved in and but it was, Jim just loved it. He loved the vibe here. He loved the fact that we had the St. Johns River, we had the Intercoastal, we had the ocean. He's a big fisherman. So the idea that you can be on the water all the time was certainly appealing. The warm weather, right? Pennsylvania can be a little cold.
Yeah.
So we fell in love with it, to be honest. Staying at the Sawgrass Beach Club was probably a blessing because then we got to really see kind of the beach side of it. And we lived in Ponte Vedra for 20 years before we moved to San Marco, and I love San Marco. That's the thing. Jim's like, we're going to have to pick one. I said, do I have to? Like, I mean, I love our neighbors. I love being on the St. Johns River. I love everything about it. It's such a great place to live.
You don't have to pick.
I know. I know. Everybody says that. I'm like, no, do you?
But isn't that
You
cool
can
about
have both.
Jacksonville? There's so many different areas of town that are desirable to be in. They all have their unique personality, and it's cool to be able to go there and have a drink or have a meal or something and get a totally different experience than what you would out at the beach.
I love it. I love it. And I had a chance with my job and all the other activities that I do, pretty much every neighborhood. I've been in every neighborhood in Jacksonville, and I love every part of it and how the ethos of every location, whether it's the rural side of the west side where I grew up, or the beaches or Ponte Vedra, and the vast type of people that you get to interact with. And they all have that same community feel.
Yep.
And I hear it all the time in my job is that there's just something different about Jacksonville. The entire business community, they kind of work together as a community. And I'm like, it is weird.
Yeah.
Jacksonville has a reputation of people coming
We're
together.
very lucky, to be honest. Yeah. The competition is not as crazy as you find that it's more people want to work together than they want to compete against each other, right? Everybody wants to be successful, but you try to find a way to do it within our community.
It's very collaborative, especially in the nonprofit sector,
Yes.
which you work so much in. You see organizations coming together for the betterment of the city, the people. So it's really cool to be a part of.
Yeah.
It is.
really is.
So cool.
love
So
it.
we talk about jobs a lot.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I've had some really cool jobs to be. The one I'm in now is super fun. Every day I get to do really fun things. You get to do amazing things in the community. TJ works hard to help folks understand the trials of opioid addiction and what it means to the economy and to families.
Sure.
Really meaningful work. But I can tell you, I've had some really bad jobs growing up, and
Sorry
I think they helped me realize I want to go get a good one.
Sure.
You know?
No, absolutely.
So what comes to your mind whenever you think of your worst job that you had growing up?
Well, I've had some interesting. So I guess. So I don't even know if people know what this is anymore, but in Ohio, we had service merchandise. And so I worked at service merchandise. I started out working in the warehouse, right? So, you fill out the little form and you go to the little thing, and then we have to go find it and send it down the conveyor belt. And then I moved up to doing displays. But probably the worst was they used to have silver. You could buy like a silver tray and silver like tea set and all of that. Maybe I'm dating myself. But you had to polish the silver. They were like, oh, I think the silver needs polished again. I'm like, oh my gosh. As a college kid, that was not very fun.
Yeah,
tedious.
So I would have to say service merchandise was maybe not my most favorite job.
Well, I do know service merchandise.
Oh, you do?
I will tell you that they obviously long since passed in Jacksonville, but Rebecca and I have been married 27 years. So it was probably 28 years ago that I saved up as much as I possibly could, but service merchandise had like a program where you could
they have
put
a jewelry store there.
A little bit down, and
like
you could
layaway.
Yeah, you could. It was kind of like layaway. Like I could put $10 down, I'd get me an engagement ring. And so I went to the one out at Regency Mall. I remember it like it was yesterday. There was a Chick-fil-A in that parking lot, and I went in and I bought Rebecca's engagement ring, and freaked out the whole time. I was trying to talk to the guy, and for me, it wasn't walking down the aisle that was the freak out moment. It was actually putting $10 down on this ring and taking it out into my car. And I remember going out into the car and looking at it like for 30 minutes, opening it up and just looking at it, and like I couldn't bring myself to pull out of the parking lot, because I knew that once I was out of the parking lot, it was a done deal. I mean, we were going going down the aisle, and
now you're like, I should have drove out of that parking lot faster, right?
I know. I mean, Rebecca, she's incredible, and it was like the best thing that's ever happened to me. But it all started at service merchandise.
What was your concern sitting in the car? Were you afraid she would say no?
No, it was like
your life is about to change.
Yeah, it's like once you cross the Rubicon, there's no turning back. And so that was my Rubicon. I wasn't nervous at the wedding. I wasn't nervous asking her, because it was already done.
Are you sure you weren't nervous at the wedding?
No, I wasn't. and this is the thing.
I'd be afraid she wasn't going to say yes.
Service merchandise is not Underwood's.
Right.
Okay? And so the highest quality diamond was not purchased that day. And it was as much as I could do at that point.
Right.
And I have asked her several times, hey, let me swap that thing out.
Right.
And she's like,
no,
never. This thing's not coming off my finger. And I'm like, it's a little cloudy. You might want to get that thing replayed. We can shine it up a little bit. But she wants her service merchandise diamond ring.
I love that. That is fantastic. You know what? Doesn't matter where it comes from. It came from the heart. Right?
And it's worked so far. I mean, we're still together.
So at least she said yes. So I have a friend, working at service merchandise. So one of my actual closest friends still to this day, and her husband is as well, but he worked in the jewelry department and she worked in the merchandising, putting everything on display department with myself. So she knew that he got a discount in the jewelry department. So he proposed to her at the top of a Ferris wheel at the state fair in Ohio. And she said, let me see the ring. And so we opened it up and she was like, I know how much your discount is. I know how much you make. That's not big enough. And he was like, you got to be kidding me. So imagine how quiet it was for the rest of the Ferris wheel.
That's a long ride down.
They broke up, wasn't going to happen. And then he was like, no, she's the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm going to upgrade the ring. And so at least she said yes.
Yeah, just 40%. You upgraded 40%.
Exactly, right? See? Yeah, you should have just got the discount. You needed somebody on the inside.
Who would have ever thought we have talked about service merchandise, but I think people really like what you had to say.
Some people are going to remember service merchandise back in the day.
Oh my gosh.
So
it was fun, but it was,
So bringing it in for a landing, this has really been a fun conversation, by the way.
It's been fun.
I know that you've had some incredible experiences you know, Jim being captain of the Ryder Cup is, in my opinion, I mean, for Jacksonville, it's the global stage and what it means. What was that experience like for you?
You know, it's one of those, after being on so many Ryder Cup teams and knowing how important it is to him and to represent your country, and then to be asked to be the captain was truly a very emotional journey for us. We went to Paris and were unable to pull off the win after 2 years of work that you put into it. And really the passion that the team had, and that was very disappointing. So being able to come back and captain the President's Cup and go to Montreal, and again, now that we know what we know, how do we flip this? How do we do the right thing? Right. How do we find a way to bring the win? And it was incredible. I mean, one, we had such a fantastic group of guys and girls. It was such a family bond from the beginning. So it was really great for him to be able to have that big win afterwards and bring that President's Cup back. And
Tabitha, a lot of people don't realize the responsibility you have as the captain's wife. I was watching Full Swing. So I don't know if you've seen that on Netflix, but it kind of highlighted the responsibility that you have with the other wives, and just helping them feel acclimated and bringing them together and taking them to different events. And what was that like for you?
You know what? It's a lot of fun to kind of be in charge, so to speak, of the girls, and making sure that you're there for every need. But things that you don't, like our President's Cup this past year, we had 2 brand new babies, right? And so for the first time ever, we had 2 pack and plays in the team room. You know, we're turning the music down because it's nap time. We're warming up bottles. You know, we're doing everything we can to make them comfortable, because the guys aren't comfortable unless their family is comfortable, right? And so we didn't want, a lot of times the captain will come in and say, look, it's great that you have a family, but we're going to ask them to step aside, and it's just you and your wife, right? When Jim was on, our daughter was 3 months old, he was on the Ryder Cup, and Curtis Strange was the captain, and he said, look, I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. We want Tabitha there, and if that means that the baby comes at 3 months old, the baby comes, but we don't want you to come without Tabitha. So how are we going to figure this out? Do you want to be on the team? And he was like, yes, I do. So we went, and it was great, because that's important to know that your family is safe and have them there with you. And so we did so many things just to make sure that was possible, you know, with the phenoms, with everybody, depending on what the age of your children were. We wanted to make sure, and your parents and your whoever was there, we wanted to make that a big family. The caddies are same. We bring your wife, bring your kids. Let's make this. I didn't
realize you let the caddies bring their family. That's really cool.
Yeah. So we kept saying our family, right? There's 12 guys on the team. Our family was 73 people at the President's Cup.
Wow.
And we wanted everybody to feel like they were a part of it.
Worked out great. It does, because that's what we're trying to bring to our team at the chamber.
Yeah.
We call it a family. Yeah. We're very professional, but we're very personal at the same time. And I think there's just this feeling of, people perform when they know that people love them and they want to take care of them, and they don't ever want to leave the organization and the family, because you've created that atmosphere. And it is an intangible that you can't put a price tag on.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, I think that, I mean, even with the foundation, we go above and beyond to make sure that the team that we have knows that their family is always first, right? I mean, obviously you have a job to do, and we know you're going to do that, but if something comes up, you need to take care of your family. You need to make sure that you're where you need to be. And at the end, they're better, I won't say employees, but you know, it's a better team because of that.
Well, I have really enjoyed this conversation. And I think you're a treasure for Jacksonville. And I'm so glad that Jacksonville's had an opportunity to hear from you today and to see the other side. You know, Jim's going to be on TV a lot. He's going to get a lot of accolades. But the hard work that you put in every year for our community, and I was at an event probably 3 or 4 months ago at Wolfson, and obviously there's some really big opportunities in Tallahassee for children's hospitals, and they asked some community leaders in, and I mean, Tab was the first one to raise her hand and said, we're in for $1 million, and we're going to make sure that we make Jacksonville the safest place for children. And when she did that, all the other hands started going up, but it was just clear that you were leading that conversation.
Well, it's a lead by example, right? Yeah. And it's something that's important to us. supporting this community is important to us, and letting people know that it's important. So I was grateful that other folks are feeling the same way, right? Yeah. It's nice to see.
The people of Jacksonville appreciate that. They don't want just lip service. They want somebody that's going to invest in their community. And y'all have done that over and over again, and we appreciate it. And thank you for what you've done and what you are doing, and what you'll continue to do.
I will say the same. You guys are doing incredible work. And it's honestly an honor to be here and chatting with you guys.
Thanks for spending an hour with us.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, guys.
This episode is brought to you by Manifest Distilling. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Speakeasy's unofficial third host, whiskey. Manifest Distilling is Jacksonville's premier organic distillery. These guys aren't just making booze, they're crafting art in a bottle. Everything they make is certified organic, locally sourced, and ridiculously smooth. Whether you're sipping a neat pour of their straight bourbon, which is what I usually drink during the show, or you're mixing up a killer cocktail with their Florida Botanical Gin, you're getting the best quality without the chemicals. And if you're in the Jacksonville area, you've got to check out their tasting room. It's got that speakeasy meets modern lounge vibe. So whether you're looking for a place to grab a drink on a night out or just meeting up with friends after work, Manifest Distilling is the perfect spot.